Something that's been really weighing on my mind the last month is that I don't think individuals or people are adequately prepared for the massive change that AI is going to bring. Because one of the most scariest, the most important things that we need to understand as individuals and as a society is that human beings are no longer at the top of the economic food chain. Okay, we are no longer the best option for corporations to invest in to run businesses. All of us as employees are resources. We cannot forget that we are resources between a company's agenda to serve customers, to generate profits, to potentially appease the shareholder. Okay? Corporations are complex beings just like us in survival mode. Their only role in society is to keep themselves going, keep themselves alive through this process of generating business, creating customers, creating profits to then feed the machine of what they are, and then unfortunately in a lot of cases disperse all of their hard-earned earnings into the shareholder, starting at zero again, having more ambitious growth targets to do that all again and then some, and then we have this consistent squeeze of profitability, this consistent squeeze of resources, but we're always doing more for less, right? We've all felt the crunch of doing more for less over the years. And that is just society. That is human nature. The universe operates with efficiency. It always wants to get more done with the least amount of effort required to get there. So us as resources in that game who are no longer the best option because AI can do the things, a lot of the things, not everything, but a lot of the things that we can do at a fraction of the cost, and they don't need holidays, they don't need to take time off, they don't need a mental health break, they don't care about DEI. We are liabilities to companies, right? We are usually one of the largest costs in organizations. Most of the liability in organizations getting sued or having legal issues comes from employees and just people in general, right? So if you as the executive are out there looking at column A, human beings, up to 30 to 40% of an organization's costs versus AI, which could be a fraction of the cost if you get AI agents, which is the big thing that's happening in 2025, to then autonomously do a lot of knowledge worker jobs, and you're incentivized to maximize profits, right, and deliver shareholder value, where do you think you're going to go, right? And look, we're all thinking about it. We're all holistically going, how could AI make my life better? But the compounding effects of the job losses that will occur from AI replacement will not be enough. Like the new jobs that will come as a result of AI will not be enough. And not as many people will adapt to these new skills or these new jobs as much as we can. And my great fear is in the next decade, we're going to see mass layoffs, okay? Mass layoffs. We're going to see all of those jobs, right? If you think about a corporation, right? Every corporation is thinking about cutting labor to use with AI. And all of those people are going to enter a job market which is going to be significantly smaller because there is no new jobs, or they don't have the sufficient skills for the jobs because there's just a massive net negative in actual jobs available. And if there is no system to maintain high amounts of unemployment like we already are struggling and our public systems are now to manage unemployment, resources, getting people back into jobs, the bottom is going to fall out of society because everyone's going to go into survival mode. People are not going to be able to feed their families, their kids. They're going to get desperate. People are going to default on their loans. And it's going to be chaos. It's going to be mass chaos. And these systems that we have now around food, water supply, public services, they're inefficient and they barely do the job of what they need to do now. Imagine in a decade plus when every Western country is still trying to pay off the massive debts that they've accumulated from printing all this money over the last decade. Do you think about how inefficient governments are because they eventually are going to have to manage the public that gets fired? I don't think anyone's really put any thought into the economic model around universal basic income. And it seems like an absolute mess that we're staring into that really freaks me out. That really freaks me out. And as someone that now is at zero, where realistically your only options are to get out of this mess, if it does happen, is to get away from these systems. Is to, there's a couple of options here. You want to aim for FIRE, which is financially independent, retire early, hopefully get out of a corporation before they fire you. You could hopefully have your own business and build your own thing like I'm trying to do. To have a source of income that is outside corporate interest. Maybe you do, you are at a job that is protected by that, right? And you are in a job that, if you're in a sales job, look, thankfully we are one of the last types of people that will be affected by layoffs because we are revenue generators and we are close to the human experience. So that's very useful. But look, from my own experience, this is why I'm, a little bit concerned, is that even as a top performer in sales, like I was at Telstra Enterprise in 2021, I still got made redundant because it doesn't matter. I'm not a human being to the corporation. I am a cost center. I am a resource. And that resource is no longer effective towards the direction of the organization that it has to pivot to in order to survive. So you can be a top performer. You can be a great salesperson and still be on the street, because it happened to me and it's happened to dozens of other people that I know. That's happening to thousands of people as we speak, right? And I just don't think we have enough awareness of this happening, but all of the symptoms are there. And let me show you some examples, okay? So this is an article that I found on Forbes that was talking about how millennial careers are at risk due to AI, okay? We already know that we're at risk, but what's really scary about this, this article in particular is some of the numbers that are around job replacements, okay? So it does say that 38% of, millennials' careers are at risk due to AI, 38%. We're the highest demographic. I'm a millennial myself. And the reason why that is because we are in the roles right now that are most likely to be disrupted, in knowledge worker roles, high intelligence roles, etc. But what's really scary is some of the numbers that are being thrown around here. So for example, this announcement here that Bloomberg has announced that Citigroup, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs plan to eliminate 200,000 positions over the next 3 to 5 years. Okay, that is 200,000 to 500,000 high value, finance jobs gone from the market completely. Okay, the Future of Jobs report, which is from the World Economic Forum, says 41% of worldwide organizations plan to cut workforces before 2030. That is 5 years away. And it's already happening now, folks, is that we've already seen thousands of layoffs, even in the tech sector. We are going to see even more coming, right? This is happening now, okay? Some other articles that I've pulled up. Goldman Sachs has already started the process of replacing bankers with AI by including an AI assistant into the employee base. Now, again, we understand as human beings that's been in this digital world, we are the product. These AI agents are twofold. One, to help us do jobs, but also understand and replicate exactly what we're doing so they can do it for a fraction of the price. This is the equivalent of having to train the outsourced person in India or the Philippines to do your job, except it's just, instead of having to do it over across, Zoom, the agent can literally just see exactly what you're doing and replicate it all of the time. Or it'll understand what gaps there are in the knowledge base because you ask it questions. It'll know what things you don't know, okay? One of the things that I've always talked about with this academy is that tech skills are decreasing in value because technology will increasingly take care of itself. The human skills are what are most important in society, to develop those and be close to the human experience, because That's, you know, that's the most immune because AI can't really do that well, nor do humans really trust that yet. And that's starting to happen now. Okay, so this article I found where Mark Benioff says Salesforce will hire no more software engineers because AI will take over. Zuckerberg from Meta also announced that a lot of mid-level engineering jobs will be done by AI. So already AI is cannibalizing the technology engineers that built it or can, you know, technology jobs in the first place already. Okay, back to this Forbes article. Here are some things that you can do to mitigate the risk. Master AI human collaboration. Like I said, your job will not be replaced by AI, very likely in sales. It'll be replaced by someone that can leverage AI to do more than you. Focus on the creative side, which is, again, the human element, the human side. Creativity is still a human skill. Lifelong learning. This is what I teach you at the academy. This is what I'm trying to give you. High value skills. Cultivating EQ. Another big part of the academy, which will be coming out soon. Okay. And taking ownership of AI integration, right? Being that orchestrator of technology as much as you can. Okay. So this is what I'm concerned about, folks. Like, I think we've got 5 years of good earning potential before shit really hits the fan and we see the widespread, which is 2030, I guess, which is about on time, before we see the widespread job losses and the real strain on public resources as people are unable to find jobs. It's not that your job as a salesperson in tech is necessarily at risk. It's at a bit of risk, depending on how well you perform, but it is the critical mass of people around you that do not adapt to technology, right? This is now monkeys versus monkeys with tools. And if you are a monkey without a tool and you don't know how to use that tool properly, you're in deep shit, right? And that is my grave concern. And this is something that I'm building towards and have been since day one. And I'm starting to get my fears realized. So something to think about. And if you want to do the best thing you can to protect yourself, come to the academy, learn these high value skills in the highest leverage industry in the planet, which is tech, and they should compound in value for the rest of your career and build a moat of money, of resources, because that's what I'm going to be doing, folks. I'm going to be talking to you guys about it through the journey because I think shit's about to get rough pretty soon and we need to be prepared. And it's my responsibility as a community leader that sees this to let you know about it and see what we can do about it as a collective.